We just saw the end of the Pan-Crass challenge about a week ago, and I wanted an excuse to write about all these sort of hideous mansions that have sprung up in the Boston area in the last few years. So I devised the idea of having the Pan-Crass challenge, where we would start at one wildly overbuilt, overpaid for, disgusting example of conspicuous consumption. That's Governor Deval Patrick's mansion in Richmond in the Berkshires. And we'd go through a few towns, Weston, obviously, Newton, and we'd end up at John Henry's brand new palace. There's the Deval Patrick mansion that he's very embarrassed about and doesn't like people talking about. There's a mansion in Weston. Boston Magazine called it the house that ate Weston. It was built by Jim Pallotta, who's one of the co-owners of the Boston Celtics. It's garish, it's horrible. You can find it on Google. Next, I wrote about a mansion that I used to bicycle by, in fact, quite a bit, belonging to a man whom my former colleague Steve Bailey called a, quote, modest billionaire. This is Jim Davis, the founder of the New Balance running shoe corporation, tore down a perfectly lovely Swedenborgian dormitory and in its place put in what looks like a small airport for a middle-sized state in the Midwest. We go to the edge of Brookline, where a guy named Paul Fireman, who made all his money with the sporting shoe company Reebok, built this vast mansion. It's right on the border of the Country Club, which is probably the most posh private golf club in all of America. Almost as a kind of reproach, Fireman built this vast pile of money right on the edge of one of the fairways, where everyone who golfs there is forced to admire and probably hate Paul Fireman. Lastly, John Henry is in the process of building this incredible pile smack in the middle of Brookline, overlooking one of the small ponds. Henry bought this property. It already had a wonderful mansion on it that belonged to a previously existing aristocrat. Henry destroyed that mansion and then commissioned the same architectural firm, which did not answer my phone calls, I might add, the same architectural firm from Greenwich, Connecticut, which had built the Jim Pallotta mansion in Weston, the horrible Paul Fireman excrescence, as I called it in the column, in Brookline. Henry hired these people to build what I thought looked like a sort of a Hyatt vacation residency going up right in the middle of Brookline. 36,000 square feet that John Henry is building for his family of 3 or 4, depending on who's counting. You need to ask yourself, do 3 people, possibly 4, really need a grotto, a swimming pool, and 36,000 square feet to live in?